more women had been in charge of banks, would we now be in the current financial crisis? What do the panel think?
Harriet Harman said if more women, you put women in charge of the banks or put them on the boards of the banks, wouldn't have got into this pickle. David Steele.
Well, I think anyone other than those who were in charge of the banks would have helped. But I read what Harriet has said, and I think she's right. I think that there is certainly a shortage of women in the higher reaches of banking, and I think it's right that they should be encouraged. Again, sorry, Nicola, but the Scottish Parliament set a very good example on this in the early days. We've got more women than they have in the Westminster Parliament. It's done them a lot of good. I think we've got one here, and I think the banking system could do with them as well.
Bruce Anderson?
I'm in favour of talented people running banks. It's very easy, of course, I don't want to defend Fred Goodwin. I like taking on popular positions, but there are limits. But nearly everybody got it wrong. It wasn't just the bankers. It was the central bankers who should have been doing a more effective job with regulating. It was the Prime Minister who would change the system of regulation in 1997 and then boasted about light touch regulation. It was most, if not all, economic commentators and most economists.
But women is the issue. You don't seem to think very highly of women in Parliament, from what I remember.
I think there will be an awful lot more women in the Conservative parliamentary.
Do you think highly of those who are there at the moment?
I think some of them are extremely good.
A change of tack?
It's very important. You mustn't believe everything you read in blogs. So it's very important that women should be given the chance to build up the experience to perform at the front level. There have been one or two cases, I won't name names, in both parties over the last 20 years where women have been promoted too fast and have been wrecked by it. And now the same would have happened had they been men. It's nothing to do with them being women. It's a damned hard job being a government minister.
Okay. Nadine Dorries, would banks be better run if there were more women on the boards?
Who knows? I think the banks would have been better run if we just had people who knew what they were doing on the boards. That's the main point. I don't think it matters whether they're women or men, just as long as they knew what they were doing, which they obviously didn't. It does make me smile when Harriet comes out with these comments, though. We have the Equality Bill going through Parliament next week. And to me, most issues aren't about whether it's women or men. It's about whether people are able and talented and have the right qualifications or the right skills. It's not about whether they wear trousers or skirts. And I don't think it does women any favours polarising these issues like this all of the time. But, David's quite right. It's hats off to the Scottish Parliament for the amount of women that they have. It is an incredibly difficult job in Parliament.
But positive action, in Harriet Harman's words, to put women on the boards, you'd be against?
I would be against any positive action
okay.
which discriminates against anyone.
We've only got a minute or so left. So.
Well, the fact of the matter is that the only bank in Scotland which was run by a woman was Lloyds TSB, and they came out rather better than certainly HBOS or RBS. So
you think that was because it was a woman?
Harriet has a point.
Do you think it was because it was a woman?
She's a very formidable woman, but so perhaps Harriet has a point.
All right. Nicola Sturgeon.
Yeah, I'd like to see women better represented in all areas, just because I think it's right that, half the population, more than half the population, in fact, is properly represented. I'm going to be horribly
not deputies, but actually taking on the top job.
Well, I'm going to move swiftly on that one. I'm going to be really generalist here, but, there is an issue about women in banks, because traditionally, of course, it's women that look after the household finances. It's women that have got to make sure the book's balanced. So maybe with a few more women in charge at the banks, there would have been less reckless risk-taking and a bit more, to use somebody's favourite word, prudence in the way the banks were run.
OK. Thank you very much. That's it from Question Time this week. Now, the debate goes on the BBC News channel with Question Time Extra, discussing comments, reactions to this programme. On Saturday night on the News channel, there's a repeat at 8:30. On the BBC Parliament channel on Sunday, repeat